One Piece is known for its great villains, from the strongest creature alive in Kaido to, of course, the current fleet admiral in Akainu, and even the final villain candidate in Blackbeard, to the greatest villain sitting on, of course, Impel Down, level 6. I'm talking about Doflamingo, the former Celestial Dragon. And then, of course, there's Egghead Island and a current Celestial Dragon, of course, member in Saturn with the mythical Zoan, to, of course, his connections to Void Century and the Nerona Emu, who sits on the empty throne. That very spooky villain as well. But to me, the only, not one of the great villains, but also one of the most important villains to me is Crocodile. Thinking about it, the East Blue had a mountain bandit that Shanks was laughing at. An Axe had Morgan that Luffy didn't even defeat. It was Zoro. A Buggy, of course, which Buggy, yeah, he's a Yonko now, but you all know Buggy's a meme. There's also Captain Kuro. Don Krieg also is a character you have to talk about. And even Arlong, the Fishman. And I'm not even counting Mihawk and Smoker because they weren't really character villains in the story. So Crocodile, aka Mr. Zero, Warlord of the Sea, was the villain to get built up through Vivi and Mr. 9 and Mr. 5 and Mrs. Valentine, these Baroque Works agent, also Nika Robin, aka Mrs. All Sunday, and of course Mr. 3 to even Wapol and Drum Island had nothing to do with Baroque's work. All I'm saying is Oda has big things planned for this character Crocodile because the build up to him was literally insane. So watch to the end. It's the reason why I talk about Crocodile and Cross Guild, and of course his relations to the Yonkos, because definitely think Crocodile is not going to be as easy to work with as people think, guys. Don't forget, he doesn't trust nobody. I remember Zoro and Luffy on Whiskey Peak doing such amazing things with their immense power, and they were still said to be no match for Sir Crocodile, one of the 7 warlords. That's how you hype up a villain, in my opinion. And as Nami panics, of course, because let's be honest here, she's thinking, wow, what have we got ourselves into? Luffy's excited and can't wait to meet him and see what he's like. It's definitely an interesting statement from Luffy because we all saw the many clashes of Crocodile and Luffy. And in my opinion, Luffy and Crocodile, they don't hate each other. Luffy and Crocodile, surprisingly, actually get along if you look at it deeper. And then, of course, there's Igaram, who lets Luffy and Zoro and Nami know that Crocodile has no bounty on him, but before he had an 80 million bounty. That's almost triple the bounty that Luffy had at the time, which was 30 million. And Crocodile's bounty is frozen. You guys understand that. So Luffy with the 30 million highest bounty in the East Blue. And of course, wow. And you can even talk about the current bounties of Luffy and Crocodile. They have made it far since their first initial clash. We find out that Nika Robin is the only one in Baroque's works to actually know Crocodile's true identity in the organization over the likes of even Daz Bones. And Crocodile's current partner and Bon Clay says a lot, guys, if you think about it, guys, because you have to understand, Daz Bones is Crocodile's current partner in the New World, and Bon Clay, like, he was definitely the character Mr. 2 with no partner. So the fact that Nika Robin is the only one to know his true identity says a lot. Also thought it was very cool when Robin was wearing Luffy's hat saying you'll never reach Alabasta, and it was crazy because you see Crocodile makes you really put into perspective like how hyped up Crocodile was, second only to Kaido in my opinion. Like the fact that Robin's saying you're never gonna see Crocodile, but like this just shows you Crocodile was not no scrub at the time. We even hear Crocodile's voice, who responds to Sanji's trolling by saying, "Shut the hell up, where's the report?" And I thought it was very, very funny for some reason. And of course, Mr. Zero was zero nonsense in my opinion. Sanji, of course, realizes Mr. Zero is the leader of Vivi's enemies, and we see Crocodile got gold rings and he was flossing on us. Honestly, guys, Crocodile was drippy. Sanji realizes this is one of the 7 warlords of the sea, and of course Crocodile asks Mr. 3 if he could play the mission, showing how big this was. And it's like Sanji during Dressrosa talking to Kaido, who thinks he's Doflamingo. Like honestly, that's what I'm looking at right now, guys. It was an insane build up for, of course, this character Crocodile. And as Sanji thinks to himself, Crocodile says, "Why hesitate? Did you complete the mission?" So Sanji then becomes Mr. 3 and gets on his acting role and says, "Everyone who knows your secret has been eliminated, so you can of course call off your hunts." And Crocodile says, "Good, of course, good job, but the Unluckies will confirm and deliver the Eternal Log Post to Alabasta," and as we see the infamous Banana Crocodile with Crocodile. And after Sanji defeats the Unluckies and gets pressed by Crocodile, he says the Straw Hats are still alive and I just finished them up right now, which of course angers Crocodile, and of course he teases his powers by drying up, of course, orange juice with the flower, of course, from the vase earlier, and even dries the flower from the anger of being misinformed by Sanji. Sanji then tells Crocodile to chill. They're dead, relax, and Crocodile says go to Alabasta. This is the last time I'm calling you. Can't have the Navy onto us. And then tells Robin to send Mr. 2 to Little Garden. I'm just trying to paint a picture of how savage Crocodile is, yo. Yeah, you finished to complete the mission, but you're still getting killed for your incompetent. Crocodile wants Mr. 3 packed out, and Robin says you are ruthless, which I agree. But he says the minions are replaceable. And of course, Crocodile definitely got trauma. And it's funny thing is, because he's currently with Mr. 3 in the Cross Guild arc, if you think about it. Mr. 3 is a part of Cross Guild, and Crocodile is too. They're both under Buggy. And when Crocodile found out pirates were going crazy, he said, don't they know I'm here? Just showing you how much respect and his reputation for Crocodile is. And says, I must keep appearance of the 7 warlords. And of course, they're the pirates who crush pirates, the heroes to the masses. Funny because him and Dofi abused the hell out of their titles, in my opinion. I think they were actually the main guys to abuse the warlord system, so it says a lot. And man, the titles they had for old boy, calling him a guardian deity of Alabasta and a king of the desert. Yeah, they were wild and out, you guys. They were glazing Crocodile like crazy for the guy who was actually causing them the most harm. And this is how we get introduced to Crocodile. Call me what you will, and you think you pirates can go crazy with his golden hook. It reminds me of Peter Pan and that story of the hook, of Captain Hook. So yeah, Crocodile, what an entrance. And imagine seeing all the swords stab a character, revealing he's just like Smoker and Ace, which we have seen before in these superpower Logias. Definitely thinking, how can Luffy fight this guy? And then he low diffs all these pirates by manipulating the sand, saying, I'm a different breed of pirates, you swine. Like, that's crazy. He says pretty much there's levels to this. You guys are not on my level. Crocodile then reveals that Mr. 4 was actually above Mr. 3, but he makes up for the ruthlessness, of course. With his ruthlessness, Mr. 3 is known for his ruthlessness, but is disappointed for falling in crucial moments and dries him up. Remember, this moment for Cross Guild, of course. But I do want to say this. He is right, though. Mr. 3 is ruthless. If you saw what he did during the Little Garden arc, he was a savage villain. And then, of course, we're seeing how Smoker is a mad dog. Like, Crocodile mentions Smoker is a mad dog, just like they say. And how he doesn't see Crocodile as an ally. Smoker does not see Crocodile as an ally like the rest of the Navy, who, of course, have great trust in Crocodile. Just showing you how much of a trickery and foolery Crocodile was doing to the Navy. And when Luffy first sees Crocodile, he wants smoke. And Crocodile's surprised Luffy made it all the way, of course, from Whiskey Peak. He actually seemed impressed, like he judged Luffy off the bat from his 30 million bounty, but saw that Luffy was no joke. Nami, of course, then rides out for Luffy, Smoker, and Zoro, saying they're going to kick Crocodile's ass, and says that Luffy right here is the man, in which Crocodile noticed her trust in Luffy and says it's overrated. Nami, of course, and you got to think about it, guys. Wano showed a great deal of trust that Nami had in Luffy, but Crocodile saying it's overrated because it's from his own trust issues. We see Crocodile then trolling Vivi, and Zoro says he gives scoundrels a bad name. And it's funny because he currently works with the world's greatest swordsman, the one that Zoro's trying to surpass, and has a higher bounty than Zoro himself. Yo, Zoro's, I think, is 1.1 billion berry bounties, and Crocodile has a higher bounty. Crocodile then asks Luffy, do you really think Sandstorm's hitting the same spot every time? Showing that he's actually the one who's throwing that sandstorm every single day. That poor old man. And then Robin says leave him, and Crocodile says silence, when of course Crocodile's trying to find out who Mr. Prince is, and says nobody makes a fool of me, and lives. Just showing how Mr. Prince Sanji didn't fool Scrub. He fooled a very intelligent man. Gotta give respect toying with Crocodile's emotions, because he barely gets emotional, but when he does, it's very childish, as you'll see throughout the story in Alabasta arc. And see you later, Crap Gator. Crocodile's final interaction with Mr. Prince, and with Sanji defeating a Tompion commander and queen and gaining a 1 billion berry bounty. Won't be surprised if we finally get that Mr. Prince vs. Crocodile in 2024, or maybe even a little bit later. Luffy vs. Cross Guild and Buggy, the rematch, would be hype. And after he puts his desert in 2, he explains to Luffy he works hard to develop his double powder and can make any weapon he wants interesting, because we know Luffy is in the exact same situation. And then this is, of course, other Delver users who are satisfied, and says he continuously conditions himself and improves his skill. Makes sense that he's one of the most wanted man in the world, above Zoro, Jinbei, and Sanji's bounty, even King, Queen, and Katakuri's, and Marco's, and Jack's, all these billion berry plus bounties, and even Luffy's post Whole Cake Island bounty. Yo, Crocodile recently has a humongous bounty. And I remember Crocodile saying, it's quicksand, nobody stands a chance against me in the desert. So this is the first Crocodile Luffy battle, and let's be honest, this is an amplified Crocodile because he's fighting in sand. Like, it's like Jinbei fighting in water, guys. Come on, it's gonna be harder. And we saw that when Hody Jones went into the water versus Luffy, it was more difficult. And one of the coldest moments is Luffy, of course, being hooked up by, of course, Crocodile's hook and saying, "Who are you ordering around?" That's what Crocodile says to Luffy. "You upstart, like you were a dime a dozen in the Grand Line." Crocodile really was sunning Luffy in this first battle. And then we even see savage moments, of course, is when those 4 guys, those that worked for the Alabasta Kingdom, try to sacrifice their life so they got an increment in power increase. And Crocodile says, "It's not too smart. Why take life for granted? But it's too late now. If you're going to die, why should I fight?" This is such a savage moment. Even shocked Chaka. And of course, after defeating Chaka, says weakness is unforgivable sin. And says a lot about his past too. Crocodile just looks at weakness as unforgivable. So Crocodile, the reason why he's always trying to get stronger, guys, because definitely knows that weakness is how you take the ultimate L. Crocodile once again beats Luffy. This is the future Pirate King. I think only Kaido has beaten Luffy more times than Crocodile, in my opinion. And of course, chapter 203. I don't care about history, as Nico Robin is naming the history of Alabasta. All I want is a secret location of the most destructive weapon in the world. Crocodile does not care about the Void Sentry. He cares about this Sentry, and that's why he's been able to withstand so many L's. He just keeps going, guys. He's just going to power through, keep going, because he has that future plan for him. And Crocodile telling Robin, "You were an excellent partner, but now I have to kill you," just shows you how he deals with betrayal, as she came to Crocodile selling dreams to further her dreams as well. It really showed 2 people that did not trust each other, and how they really trusted each other but didn't trust each other at the same time. Crocodile says, "But I feel no anger towards you, Robin. You want to know why? I forgive you all for Nico Robin. I never trusted anyone from the start. Crocodile and Robin are more similar than we think. It's just Robin had little empathy, of course, where Crocodile had zero, the diabolical genius." And Crocodile had to admit, as a pirate, he says, "I must admit, your never-ending drive to defeat me is impressive," and calls Luffy a worthy foe, and he takes all emotions out of it, and he's just being analytic, He has to give respect to respect is due when it comes to Luffy. Of course, Crocodile then says, "Then you understand we're both pirates, and when pirates fight, it's to the death, no rules in combat, this is the end. Let's settle this once and for all." And reminds me of course, Luffy's mentality versus Katakuri when it comes to that pirate honor. Crocodile, of course, then loses. Of course, he loses his warlord title, of course, because of the dance pattern. But I always found it strange that rain coincidentally falls when Luffy defeats Crocodile. Could it be a hint to him manipulating, of course, with his Delver ability, aka Awakening? There are hints of this later on in the story, which I will talk about. Now, after Alabasta, someone asked Oda about Crocodile's bounty of 81 billion berries being too low for Crocodile, which I thought was pretty high because Luffy had 30 million at the time. But Oda replied, "Yeah, it would have been double that if Baroque was actually known." So yeah, Crocodile would have had nearly a 200 million berry bounty, so a bounty of the level of the supernovas. So Crocodile's bounty was legit, in my opinion. Then of course we see in the cover story Crocodile refusing to escape because he didn't feel like it. But I don't blame him. With his hard work in the past and failing, he needed some time off, guys. And then of course we see Miss Golden Week exposing that Crocodile wanted to be the Pirate King and Mr. One wanted to be a hero, which reminded me of Germa. And of course we all know the connection to Nika for some reason, just showing how these two lived effed up lives to end up where they were. And then of course we saw Oda foreshadowed Mr. 0 to 3 all having big impacts in the future, with them being the only ones not being released from the Baroque works, actually still being locked up. Mr. 0 in Crocodile, Mr. 1 in Jazz Bones, Mr. 2 in Pon Clay, and of course Mr. 3 and Galdino. They were all locked up still. And Crocodile looked happy to be taken to Impel Down, like he was cooking something up. I wonder what it was, but y'all know how Crocodile moves. Very mysterious man. Of course, we also see Ace, Jinbei, and Crocodile, and how they didn't even flinch in the boiling hot water when they were sent down to Impel Down level 6, showing that these guys are truly top Yonko Commander level. And Crocodile says it's a once-in-a-lifetime chance to kill Whitebeard because of the Marineford War. And that pissed off Jinbei, and Ace said, "You think you could be my old man?" And honestly, like pretty much Ace is dissing him. Like he's pretty much saying you have no chance against Whitebeard. And after all the prisoners go crazy and talking about kill Whitebeard, Crocodile said a bunch of silver medalists to Roger and Whitebeard. Shedding tears, Crocodile acknowledges his L's in the past, which reminds me of Moria and Kaido. Crocodile admits after losing to Luffy and failing to obtain the ancient weapon, he lost interest of the outside world. But of course, having a chance with Whitebeard versus the Navy War and a chance to kill Whitebeard brought it back. And when Luffy presses Crocodile about Alabasta, he says that's ancient history. Like I said, guys, Crocodile does not care about the past. And Ivankov and Crocodile, their beef when he was a rookie, and knows one of his weaknesses. A former woman theory has evolved because of this. Not water, of course, another weakness, something completely different. Remember Oda said he owes Ivankov something that was given. Maybe we know Ivanka can change your gender, and Crocodile doesn't really show his face during the Chapter 0 moment of him seeing Roger's execution. Was he a woman? Who knows? Speaking of Crocodile being Luffy's mother, that's a joke. He frees Mr. One during the Impel Down escape for, of course, his manpower, showing you how valuable Mr. One's power was to Crocodile. And then, of course, Crocodile sees Blackbeard and says, I heard a no-name pirate from Whitebeard's crew took my spot. Isn't that strange? And he notices Blackbeard, of course, in Impel Down when he should be on Marineford already. So he threw away his title. And Blackbeard says, it's all part of my plan, but there's no need to tell you this, of course. And honestly, it was a battle of intellect because Crocodile says, I'm not interested, and Blackbeard says, no manners. These two will run into each other again for their final war, for sure, because of this moment in Impel Down. Crocodile then says that an awakened Zoan type known for resilience is its strong point, and says, of course, the boss of hell's coming, don't be afraid of these awakened Zoans. How does Crocodile know so much about awakening? He probably has it or is close to it, I don't know. But we saw how Kin and Law had in Wano. We did not have any foreshadowing of them having an awakening, guys. Then, of course, Crocodile says, you can talk to fish, but of course, he was surprised because he thought that was a merfolk's specialty when it comes to talking to Jinbei. And of course, think about it, Poseidon, the ancient weapon, Shirahoshi, reference, of course, Oda's genius. And Crocodile says, never thought you would call sharks. And Jinbei replies, fishmen being friendly to fish? Like, it's sarcasm. And of course, Crocodile says, it's not normal, an exception to your wild people, and says, and pretty much compliments Jinbei. And he says, Jinbei says, I can't deny, fishmen are wild. It's a reference to, of course, Fisher Tiger, and Arlong, and how the fishmen have been fighting for so long. And of course, Ivankov, if you think about it, Ivankov, slavery, Boa, like, there's so many things that can be mentioned to this connection. And as soon as Crocodile gets to Marineford, he tries to kill Whitebeard, and it says it's been a while. Now everyone knows Whitebeard said no girls in his crew. And I'm thinking, is that the reason one of his beef is going on with Whitebeard? I don't know, but I just know that Luffy had to come and save Whitebeard in this moment. But he didn't really have to, but it was pretty cool moments seeing Luffy already prepared to fight Crocodile. And then we see Crocodile take a brilliant punk. Crocodile was able to brace himself, but still got hit so bad that blood came out of his mouth and was sent flying. And it commented on his speed and power. It makes sense. Josu's a top young commander, a very respected pirate in the One Piece New World. And Aokiji, of course, even bled. And Admiral in his prime bled to Josu. Not as much as Crocodile, but still showing you the craziness. Of course, Aokiji was distracted from Whitebeard. And these are two Logias on a completely different level. Aokiji's way stronger than Crocodile, but still, you gotta give respect where respect is due. None of them got knocked out from Josu's diamond takedown. And then we saw Doflamingo telling Crocodile how was Impel Down's bloodbath. It's funny, ironic, because Doflamingo would have to go through this as well. And of course, says, don't stick your nose where it isn't wanted. That's what Crocodile says. And says, you want me to kill you? You always were a sweet talker. And that's how Doflamingo replies to Crocodile. What do you say joining forces? And of course, they were both at Roger's execution. They're both from the same era. And Doflamingo, it looked like he was trying to holler at a girl. So I'm thinking, does Doflamingo know Crocodile's secret? Or at least have history with Crocodile? And it's interesting because Crocodile wants no part of Doflamingo teaming up with him. And then, of course, when Whitebeard gets stabbed by Squardo, Crocodile says, I didn't lose to such a weak man. And you have to understand, Mr. One, Ivankov, Jinbei, they're also taking in what he said. Crocodile was not playing around with that statement. Sengoku even thought Crocodile would side with, of course, the world government because of his long-term beef with Whitebeard. But it must be a big deal now. I'm thinking Whitebeard and Crocodile in the past. It reminds me maybe of Eustace Kid versus Shanks that happened recently. And of course, Marco says his chance was stolen. Even Luffy was shocked when Crocodile saved Ace and says, I'll beat Whitebeard later. I gotta take a smile off your faces to the world government. And Crocodile is even seen with Whitebeard's squad. Now, that's crazy, guys. He had to ride out against the Navy. That takes a lot of pride, guys. Now, of course, right after this, Crocodile's head is cut off from Doflamingo, who's jealous that he's teaming with Whitebeard. And Crocodile says, I ain't working with nobody. That these two, it makes me think these two will meet in the future again. Maybe Doflamingo joining Crossguild. Crocodile then orders Daz Bones to fight Marines for now. But, of course, you have to understand, he protected Luffy from Mihawk. Like, Crocodile specifically said Luffy to be protected from Mr. One. And the Crocodile even tells Mihawk, I'm not in a mood. And pretty much it's crazy because he lived after confronting the world's greatest swordsman, which might have been just means Mihawk didn't want to fight him. Of course, they even teamed up in the future as Crossguild. But don't also forget, they're all from the same era. Like Shanks, Doflamingo, Dragon, they're all at, of course, even Buggy was at Roger's execution, guys. They're all from the same era. And Crocodile stopping Akainu was deeper than just helping Luffy and Jinbei escape. I feel like that felt like pretty much it was insane because Whitebeard was battling Akainu, and Akainu did the most damage to Whitebeard. So, and we all know Whitebeard and Crocodile's beef. So it makes me think Crocodile also did it for another reason. And if you think about it, Crocodile went from fighting Josu to literally taking his spot in the infamous Whitebeard Pirates panel. That says a lot, in my opinion. Crocodile's beef with Whitebeard was made known, But of course, he was still standing on business with Whitebeard's crew after his death. Insane. And Crocodile says, what do they think they're doing so soon after they almost lost their lives? Of course, when it comes to Luffy and 3D2Y. And Dazbones thinks it's insanity or even a larger plan. And Crocodile says, do you think that's it? And then, of course, says Luffy bears a heavy scars. Do such scars fade easily? Hinting at, of course, the face scar that Crocodile has. And then, of course, Crocodile says mines are healed. The proof of that was I'll go to the New World and ask Dallas Jones if he wants to come with him. So, definitely interesting. Pre-time skip, Crocodile literally saying he's going back to the New World, showing you that Crocodile was humbled. Now, of course, chapter 1056, we're fast forwarding almost 500 chapters later, is when we really see things taking off for Crocodile. He joins the new group known as the Yonko crew and Cross Guild. Luffy was completely shocked that Crocodile was under, of course, Buggy, this group that was even putting bounties on, of course, the Marines. And Law said, you gotta respect it, yo. Buggy got 2 monsters under him in Mihawk and Crocodile. So you have to understand, Crocodile is well respected. His reputation is well respected in, of course, the One Piece world. In chapter 1058, we even see Crocodile pressing Buggy for being, of course, the boss. He says, me and Mihawk are the bosses. And pretty much it makes sense. Crocodile was Baroque's worst boss and did boss around Buggy and Impel Down. And Crocodile says, this is beyond insulting. I can't find the words, showing he cares about his reputation big time, which we all knew. We even see Mr. 3 kissing Crocodile's ass, of course, and betraying Buggy. And I'm just thinking, Mr. 3, bro, this guy, Crocodile, tried to kill you. Like, come on, bro, twice. And of course, Buggy's whole crew is also bowing down to Crocodile. As we get a glimpse of Crocodile calling Mihawk, showing that they must have had some sort of relationship, the fact that he can call him on the phone like that in the last 20 years. And of course, you have to understand, he dissed Doflamingo during Marineford War, but Mihawk, he was willing to join a different warlord, just showing you that Crocodile did not want no parts of Doflamingo. But I think that's not, Doflamingo is very persevering. I think he's going to try again to team up with Crocodile. We just got to wait a little bit. Crocodile then says, this just shows we got to team up. The Marines wouldn't take us lightly. Marine Hunter, showing, of course, how Crocodile knows how deep Mihawk's history lore goes as the world great swordsman. Also before that, the Marine Hunter. And before he's warlord, of course, he was going against the Navy. And of course, they are from the same generation, don't forget. Also, Crocodile says, me and you are the same. We don't trust anyone. Showing how foreshadowing of betrayal, guys. Pirate alliances are always with betrayal. Or foreshadowing of great loyalty. So maybe it's great sacrifice. I'm not sure where O is going with this. Crocodile then saves Buggy from Marines. And Buggy is shook, of course, because he lent, Crocodile lent a lot of money to Buggy. And he owes Crocodile. And of course, this is crazy because it reminds you of Caesar and Big Mom, and Buggy's character is so similar to Caesar's character archetype. Crocodile's actually shocked that Buggy stayed and says, I can sell you into slavery. That's how savage Crocodile is. Yo. Okay, you don't have to pay me back, but I can sell you into slavery. And he's already held Buggy many times, and now he needs his moolah for his new company that he's building. Buggy sells him and his crew to Crocodile for free as a former warlord, and that's pretty good promo, guys. Having Buggy join you will give you a good reputation. So Buggy did, I think he did make up for the money he actually had to owe Crocodile. Which of course brings us back to the present time. Crocodile's bounty, of course, being revealed to be 1.965 million berries, almost 2 billion berries, higher than Luffy's was when he was known as the 5th Emperor, guys. Yeah, Crocodile's bounty is insane. We can always dispose of him. That's what Mihawk tells Crocodile if need arise. With Crocodile hesitantly agreeing here, of course, and this is where the 8 cross guilds actually starts. Now, of course, recently, chapter 1082 during the Egghead Island arc, we see Crocodile. He says we need to have unparalleled influence to form our utopia, a word he used a lot in Alabasta when it comes to Baroque's work. And of course, he even says reputation. This guy's reputation based, and he says utopia and promises to his former agents and all that stuff we saw earlier. And now tells Mihawk strong military state, and Mihawk says establish overwhelming power, which leads to Buggy pressing his monster commanders. And after Buggy does his whole sob story about Shanks and whatnot, Crocodile couldn't believe he bought his own bullshit. It reminds him he's only a figurehead talking about the Pirate King title like he can actually be Goldie Roger, which leads to Crocodile's famous Kaido line, we are not playing pirates. You have no clue or plan, which is, of course, he's right. Buggy never has a plan, guys. He just does. That's what Buggy is. He never has a plan, which I think is pretty funny about Buggy. And all this makes me think I could see Cross Guild doing multiple things that upset Crocodile, like having his op Doflamingo join, or even having his big op's son in Weevil join. But the biggest thing is if Cross Guild goes after Blackbeard because of Buggy and Mihawk, their ties to Shank, which in my opinion would upset Crocodile greatly, guys. Imagine Buggy, of course, and Mihawk teaming up with Red Hair Pirates to try to take down Blackbeard. And Crocodile's just thinking, what do I gain out of this? Why are we helping the Red Hair Pirates when that's going to help them get to the One Piece? And that's going to help them dominate the New World, what Crocodile does not want them to have. And imagine when Ancient Weapons get into part with it. I think betrayal is going to happen, of course. I think Crocodile is going to make his move when Ancient Weapons start to play a factor, which is going to happen. It's the final saga, for goodness sake, guys. And that's why I think Crocodile is one of the most important characters. Yes, I'm telling you guys right now, Crocodile is being slept on heavily, guys.